In 1989, a tiny 1.3 square mile patch of dirt in the center of Tokyo, the Imperial Palace, was valued higher than every single piece of real estate in the entire state of California combined. Japanese corporations bought up American icons with ease. They purchased Rockefeller Center, Pebble Beach, and even Columbia Pictures. At its peak, 45% of the entire global stock market was Japanese. Then, in a single decade, it all vanished. Trillions of dollars in wealth evaporated, leaving behind a stagnant economy and an entire lost generation. The 1990s collapse followed a specific mathematical sequence, triggered by aggressive monetary policy, the same policy framework the United States is implementing today. The crisis traces back to 1985 and the Plaza Accord. The United States was bleeding manufacturing jobs, so they forced Japan to appreciate the yen. In just 24 months, the yen doubled in value against the US dollar, instantly crushing Japan's massive export engine. To save their manufacturing sector from annihilation, policymakers at the Bank of Japan panicked. They aggressively slashed interest rates from 5% down to 2.5%, flooding the domestic market with heavily subsidized cheap money. This flowchart illustrates synthetic liquidity. The printed money bypassed productive innovation, like factories, pouring straight into speculative assets. Golf memberships traded for millions. Corporations abandoned product development for financial engineering, blowing up a massive, unstable asset bubble. This is the psychological trap that central banks fall into. Terrified of allowing a mild natural recession to occur, they create an ocean of cheap money that inflates a system-threatening bubble instead. By 1990, the Bank of Japan finally realized this bubble was threatening the fabric of their society. They violently hiked interest rates to pop it, expecting a controlled demolition. They got a financial meltdown. The Nikkei 225 index lost 40% in a year, incinerating $2 trillion. To hide losses, the government funded zombie companies via bailouts. Absorbing this toxic debt caused Japan's debt-to-GDP ratio to skyrocket from 60 to 250%. While the economy stagnated, a silent killer finalized the trap. Severe economic anxiety destroyed family formation and caused birth rates to plummet. Today, nearly 30% of Japan's entire population is over the age of 65. You cannot print consumers, and you cannot engineer youth. A debt-burdened system relies entirely on future generations to pay it off. When those generations fail to materialize, the math breaks. The fiscal data of 1990s Tokyo maps directly onto the current United States. The Bank of Japan's 1980s rate cuts precisely mirror the Federal Reserve's own zero interest rate policies, which they maintained from 2008 all the way to 2022. This split-screen chart compares Japan's historical liquidity spike directly with the United States. Between 2020 and 2021, the U.S. M2 money supply expanded 40%. Driven by this, the U.S. national debt crossed $34 trillion, pushing the debt-to-GDP ratio past 120%. The United States is currently tracing the exact mathematical and policy trajectory that Japan took during the early stages of its lost decades. The specific asset class threatening the U.S. financial system today is the same one that trapped Japan: commercial real estate. Japan saw its commercial real estate values plummet by 87% over a single decade. Today, post-COVID U.S. office vacancy rates are hovering between 20 and 30% in major hubs like San Francisco and New York. Trillions of dollars in U.S. commercial mortgage-backed securities, loans tied directly to these empty buildings, sit on the balance sheets of regional banks, waiting to default. When these loans fail, the U.S. government will face the same choice Tokyo did: let the banks collapse and absorb the sharp, corrective pain of a recession, or print trillions of dollars to bail them out. A refusal to accept liquidation leads directly to a lost generation. The U.S. has already implemented the policies that will birth a generation of American zombie companies. The only question left is whether the crash will stretch out over a decade or happen all at once.